for runway condition report, we have to divide runway in 3 equal parts. So you can see right side runway 09 I have shown you, and left side I have shown you runway 27. First of all, from the beginning to the end, you divide runway in 3 equal halves. Now, remember, the direction for preparing the runway condition report will be from the lower designator number. So you see towards runway 09, first runway third I have done. Thereafter, middle portion is known as second runway third, and the last portion is known as third runway third. So this is the way of dividing runway into 3 equal halves. And we will prepare runway condition report for the lower designator always. So here the lower designator is runway 09. So it will be done for runway 09 side, and the first part which will start from runway 09 beginning is known as first third. The second is known as second third, and the third is known as third third. So this is done now. Now we will see how to proceed further. Now, the runway condition report has 2 sections. I repeat here again, runway condition report has 2 sections. First section is aeroplane performance calculation section, and the second section is situational awareness section. So now, first we will discuss, or rather I will say we will see all the elements of aeroplane performance calculation section first. So the first element is aerodrome location indicator. It's a 4-letter ICAO location indicator which is in accordance with DOC 7910. 7910 DOC is location indicators. So for example here 4-letter, so Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf Paris. So first thing, it is mandatory. I have shown here this information is mandatory. So first element 1, it is mandatory. Aerodrome location indicator, it will be of 4-letter ICAO location indicator. Second element, date and time of assessment. It will be done in UTC. Information is mandatory again. Format, suppose first MM is month, DD is date, HHR, MM minutes. So September month 09. Then date of assessment, suppose 11/11, time 1357. So it will come like this. The third element is lower runway designator. As I have mentioned earlier, runway condition report will be prepared for lower runway designator only. So in case of runway 09 or 27, only runway 09 has to be reported here, and report first third of runway condition report will begin from runway 09 beginning only. So it can be of 2 letters or 3 characters which identifies the runway for the assessment. This information is again mandatory. So here we have used 3 characters, 09 Romeo, right. Then fourth element. The fourth element of first section of runway condition report, that is aeroplane performance calculation section, is runway condition code. I say again, it's a fourth element. It's runway condition fourth code for each runway third. For example, I have shown here 565. Now how to calculate this? We will take help of some tables. This is again mandatory. This is again mandatory. The direction for listing of runway thirds, I have already told, it will be from the lower designator runway only. And this is a group of 3 characters separated by a slash. So first 5 shows that it is for the first third of the runway. The second third of the runway condition code is 6, and third third of runway condition code is 5. Then the fifth element is percentage coverage contaminate for each runway third. So first third, that is from the beginning of runway 09 right, the percentage contaminate is 25%. The second third is percentage contaminate is 50%, and the last is 75. Last one is known as third third. So all are separated by a slash, and it can be of maximum 9 characters separated by slashes. Then one point to be noted here, this information is conditional. So whatever we will be going to report, it will be based on some tables. Conditions will be there. Then only we have to report here. Now we will go for next one, sixth. Depth of loose contaminant. Here it is again conditional. Conditional means only, first of all, only 4 contaminants depth have to be reported, which I have already told you. These are standing water, slush, wet snow or dry snow. It has to be done for each runway third, and it can be of 2 or 3 digit number. So suppose first third is 0.4 mm, second third is 0.5 mm, and third third is 28 mm. So millimeter, what is the depth of contaminants? These all are in millimeters for each runway third, beginning from 0.4 and the third is 28. So now we will go ahead, and the seventh element is condition description for each runway third. Here we have to mention what type of contaminant is present on runway. So as I have told you earlier in Annex 14 Volume 1, earlier they have mentioned about 12 contaminants. Now those 12 contaminants have been increased to 17. So those are these are now compacted snow, dry snow, dry snow on top of compacted snow, dry snow on top of ice, frost, ice, slush, standing water, water on top of compacted snow, then wet ice, wet snow on top of compacted snow, wet snow on top of ice. So total contaminants have now which have to be reported are 17. Now the eighth element, width of runway. So suppose width of runway, where runway condition code apply if less than published width. So suppose runway width is 45 meters and we have done assessment and we find that this runway condition code is for 30 meter of runway only, center from the center line 15 meter here and there. So we can say this runway condition code is applicable to only 30 meters, not to the remaining portion of 15. So here we have to report that this is optional. You give it, it's okay. If you don't want to give it, you can leave it. Now, this is table number 1. So suppose if you have gone for the assessment and you find that percentage of contaminant is less than 10%, you will not be going to report this percentage. You will simply write NR, November Romeo. It means not reported. If you have assessed percentage, it is between 10 to 25, then you have to write higher side of it, that is 25. Then from 26 to 50, higher side will be 50, you report 50%. Then if you have assessed percentage 51 to 75, you have to report percentage as 75%. And if the last one 76 to 100, then you have to mention 100. So always reported percentage is of a higher side. And the first thing, if it is less than 10, then you should not report it. It will be reported as not reported, NR. So this is table number 1. Then we will go to table number 2. We report depth for only 4 contaminants. I again repeat it. We are reporting depth of contaminants for only depths of 4 contaminants only. First is standing water, second is slush, third is wet snow, and fourth is dry snow. And when standing water has to be reported, if it is 4 mm or more, minimum value to be reported for standing water is 0.4 mm. If it is 0.3 mm, then it is not standing water. Water definition have been changed now. If the depth of water is less than 4 mm, it is wet. And if the depth of water is 4 mm or greater, then it is reported as standing water. Now, when we have to report the depth of standing water, when it is minimum 0.4 mm or greater. Then the third column shows about the significant change. So suppose first value we have went for the assessment is 0.4 for standing water. Now the variation is 0.4 mm plus 0.3 mm. Then we have to generate a new runway condition report. If any significant changes in contaminants will be there, then only a new runway condition report will come. Otherwise, there is no need for new runway condition report. They are significant changes. They are reflecting that a new runway condition report is required. So first thing first, if contaminated is standing water, minimum reportable value is 0.4. Actual whatever is there, you have to report it. And significant change, if it is 3 mm previous reporting plus 3 mm, then it's a significant change. Then for slush, the valid values to be reported is 0.3 mm and significant changes 3 mm. Wet snow, valid values to be reported is 0.3. Then significant changes 5 mm. Dry snow, minimum value which has to be reported, which is valid, is 0.3 and 20 mm is the significant change. Now we are coming to table number 3. This will give runway condition code. This helps the arrival aircraft to calculate landing distance required based on the reported runway condition code. So first column is runway condition code, RWYCC, and the second is the runway surface description. If you find that the runway surface is dry, you have to simply give that runway portion, that is runway third, 6. If runway is dry, our runway condition code will be 6. If it is frost, wet, but it is wet is including 3 mm depth, up to 3 mm depth. Number 3 slush, it is also including up to 3 mm of depth. Dry snow and wet snow, up to 3 mm of depth. So these are under runway condition code 5. Why I have mentioned word 3 mm up to 3 mm of depth, that we will see later, because there is a change in runway condition code if the depth changes. So remember again, in 5, frost, then wet, slush, dry snow, wet snow, and bracket, they have mentioned that this contaminate depth is 3 mm up to including 3 mm. Then we have to report runway condition code as 5. Now, if we have compacted snow and temperature, outside temperature is minus 15 degrees centigrade and lower. Suppose it is minus 15 degree, minus 16, minus 17. So if that is the case and compacted snow is there, then we have to give runway condition code 4. Now, if your runway surface description is wet means slippery wet. So it means that minimum friction level values have been reached. So runway has become slippery wet. So first wet is wet in runway condition code 5. Here it is slippery wet. So if we find that runway became slippery wet, then we will give him runway condition code 3 only now. So from 5, it has came down to 3. So it is more dangerous to the aircraft operation now. 6 means perfectly okay condition. And as we are going down, 6, 5, 4, 3, it means that it's now dangerous. It's not safe. Now see second element, that is contaminate, dry snow or wet snow, any depth, and which is on the top of a compacted snow. Simply you put runway condition code 3. Then here again dry snow is given, wet snow is given. If you will see runway condition code 5, there also they have shown. But here the change is the depth of contaminates is more than 3 mm. So if dry snow and wet snow are there, you just see the depth also. If it is more than 3 mm, you give runway condition code 3. Then compacted snow, and here we will give value 3 because in 4 the temperature was minus 15 degree and lower, but here the outside temperature is higher than minus 15 degrees centigrade. So it means minus 14, minus 13, minus 12, like this. Then table 3 continues here. Runway condition code 2 will be given if the runway contaminates are standing water and slush. One we have to give so we find that ice is on runway. 0 means wet ice, water on top of compacted snow, or dry snow or wet snow on top of ice. Now there is one exception. Irrespective of any contaminant present, As we have said that previously, I have told you that percentage and the depth coverage is conditional. Now this condition is also there. We have to simply give runway condition code 6. Even wet ice is on runway, but that contaminate if it is 25% including or less. If it is satisfying this condition, that contaminate is 25% or less, we have to simply put runway condition code 6, even it is wet ice. Now, this you have to remember. Now, this is Runway Condition Assessment Matrix, RCAM. Now, if pilot reports that braking actions are not good as reported, he has to use some phrases now. These phrases are now standard. If he says that braking action reported, suppose braking action reported in runway condition report is medium. And if pilot is saying that braking action reported are not good as reported, so we have reported medium, pilot is not agreeing to it. So it means there is a need for runway condition, new runway condition report. You have to go for assessment again. You have to find out, you have to check because he's a user. If pilot is saying that braking actions are not good as reported, it means there is some changes in the condition and we have to assess it again. So this means that if earlier medium was reported, it cannot be medium. Now we have to downgrade it. It will be medium to poor. Now that it will be medium to poor, and earlier if runway condition code was 3 for medium, now it will come down to 2. Now we will see what are the runway condition code, what pilot mean by braking action, and how actually it will affect the aeroplane deceleration and directional control observation. So if runway condition code is 6, no issues at all. Pilot will not report anything. If runway condition 5, aeroplane braking action deceleration is normal for the wheel braking effort and direction control is also normal. Pilot report good. If runway condition code is 4, it means that braking deceleration direction control is between good and medium. Pilot will report of braking action as good to medium. If number 3, runway condition code, then braking deceleration is noticeably, I will repeat again, noticeably reduced for the wheel braking effort and applied, or directional control is noticeably reduced, or. So any one can happen. And pilot will report medium, braking action as medium. If 2 is given, it means braking deceleration or direction control is between medium and poor. So pilot will report as medium to poor. If 1 is given, it means that braking deceleration is significantly reduced. It is significantly reduced and directional control is significantly reduced. So it will comes under the category of poor. Less than poor, if pilot says it will go for runway condition code 0, braking deceleration is minimal to non-existing and there is no directional control. So this is the RCAM. This will be used by us to downgrade once we will be getting pilot reports. So air reports have is important in global reporting format. Now, as we have discussed earlier, every runway condition report has 2 parts. So first part we have already discussed. Now the second part is about the situational awareness part. Now we will see. The first element is we have to mention in this order only. Runway condition report situational awareness section will constitute of these elements, and these elements have to be reported in these sequence only. If anything is not there, we can simply omit that one. So first is reduced runway length. If landing distance available is reduced and we have taken a NOTAM for that, so it is based on condition that NOTAM has been issued and it is for the actual runway. So we will discuss each in separately. First, I will finish this part. Then the second is drifting straw on the runway. Then loose end on the runway. Chemical treatment, it is mandatory, remember. Then others are all optionals. Snowbanks on the runway, thereafter snowbanks on the taxiway, snowbank adjacent to the runway, taxiway condition, apron condition, state approved and published use of measure friction, plain language remarks. So runway condition report is not including runway condition. It is including conditions adjacent to the runway, even taxiway conditions and apron conditions. If something more we want to include, we can include in plain language. So this much freedom have been given to us. So that situational awareness section will give a complete information to the pilot in command in taking decisions. So this is the runway condition information string. So here I have shown the first part only. We will discuss the second situational awareness section in detail. So it is first aerodrome, then date and time, then runway, lower designator, then runway condition code, percentage coverage of contaminants, depth, contaminate type, and reduce runway width, which is optional. It shows that suppose 45 meter of runway is there, and if runway condition code is applicable to 30 meters only, then we will write here 30. Now we will see how to prepare a runway condition report. So here I have taken one example. It is simulated for us. Like runways, airport is Paris, date of observation of 4th November, time of assessment is 1415 UTC. Runway we have given 27 left of 09 right. At the time only one runway is operational. For understanding purpose we have done this. Then runway condition code, it is given like this. For the first third, standing water more than 3 mm. Second third is ice. Third is ice. Coverage is 08%, 15% and 30%. And depth in each third is 6, 5 and 6 mm respectively. So first third depth is 6 mm. Second third is 5 mm and the third is 6 mm. So this is our runway. We have already given the details. So now what we have to do actually, we have to divide runway into 3 equal halves. So we have to begin from the lower designator runway, which is 09 right. So we have started with this. This is our first, second, third. So this first thing first we have done. Then we will write first third, it is standing water, depth 6 mm, coverage 08%. Second third is ice, depth 5 mm, coverage 15%. Third is ice, depth 6 mm, coverage 30%. So now one by one we will solve. A runway condition report, first it will come, then aerodrome location indicator, that is Lima Foxtrot Papa Golf, then date and time of observation in UTC, 11 month, 04 date, 1415 UTC, then a runway 09 right, lower designator will always come. Now you see runway condition code is given 661. This is exception. I have told you, irrespective of what contaminate a runway third has, if the coverage is less than 25%, you don't see anything. You simply put runway condition code 6. So first third and second third coverage is 08% and 15%. Even if it is 25%, including 25%, the runway condition code will become 6. So for the first third and second third, runway condition code will come 6/6/. Now we'll go to the third one. Third one is third is ice. So if you will see from the table, ice belongs to runway condition code 1. So the runway condition code for this will become 661. 6/6/1. Now come again for the first third. Now coverage is less than 8, that is 10%. It is given 8% only. So we are not reporting any coverages percentage if it is less than 10%. So here NR will come, not reported, slash, then 15, then 10 to 25 will come into 25. So we'll write 25%. And the last one is 30. So about 25, that is 26 to 50, it will come into 50. So not reported slash 25% slash 50%. So here we have given percentage coverage. Now we will come for the reporting of depths. Again, I am repeating, you must remember that depth reporting are only for the 4 contaminants. And out of those 4, standing water, slush, dry snow, wet snow, only standing water is present and it is present only on the first third. So we will report depth if it is 04 mm or more. Yes, it is 6 mm. So we will report 06. Always remember it will not be 6, it will be 06. So we have to report here two letters 06. slash second third is ice, third third is ice. So we'll not report for them. We will write not reported slash not reported. Then what kind of contaminants are there? So we will mention there standing water slash second third is ice slash third third is ice. So by this way, we have to prepare our runway condition report, aeroplane performance section. So we have done with the first part. Now we will going ahead with the situational awareness section. So suppose we have given one runway 27 center Charlie, landing distance available is 2,800 meters, drifting snow on runway, loose sand, chemically treated, snowbanks on runway at a distance of 11 meters on the left and 13 meters on right from center line, snowbanks on taxiway Quebec at a distance of 10 meter on the left and 8 meter on the right from center line, snowbanks adjacent to runway, taxiway Charlie Whiskey 3, condition is bad, Papa apron is poor, runway 27 Romeo landing distance available is 2950 meters, drifting snow on runway, loose sand, snowbanks on taxiway Tango at a distance of 9 meter on the left and 7 meter on right from center line, snowbank adjacent to runway, taxiway Charlie Eco 1, condition is bad, Alpha apron is poor. So these things have been assessed by our inspector. He found all those things on runway. Now he wants to prepare situational awareness section. So we'll go one by one. So in runway condition report, I have mentioned that situational awareness section is section 2, number 1. Number 2, then other thing is all individual messages in the situational awareness section and with a full stop. If you will see left hand side in white color, every information is ended with full stop. This is to distinguish that the next message is a subsequent message. So this is the way. And if you will see by the first sign, it shows that there is a change of section. So now we have entered into the situational awareness section. The first thing which was mentioned was reduce runway length. I have told it is conditional, number 1. Number 2, why it is conditional? Because NOTAM have been already issued. So its format is like runway, whichever runway. You have to mention the runway for which runway it is reduced. It can be for the higher runway designator also. So if it is for the higher runway designator, we have to mention it is for the higher runway designator, like runway 27 Charlie reduced to 2,800 full stop. We can also write, because it is given in question, that runway 27 Romeo LDA reduced to 2950 full stop. So here we are not writing meters. You can write LDA or you can omit it also. Both way it is acceptable. Now next section, drifting snow on the runway. So first thing we have done, now runway 09 Charlie drifting snow. This information is optional. Format I have already mentioned, runway 09 left drifting snow. You can mention drifting snow on the runway. Then loose sand on the runway. Always we have to use lower runway designator here. So except for landing distance available, if you will see in situational awareness section, you have to go for the lower designator only. So here it will be runway 09 Charlie space loose space sand full stop. Then runway space 09 Lima space loose space sand full stop. Then we will see chemically treatment on the runway. I have told you it is mandatory. It will always come with a lower runway designator, and the format will be like this: runway space 09 Charlie space chemically space treated full stop. Actually, chemical treatments, it damages the undercarriage of the aircraft. So once this information will be available to the pilot, the engineers and the ground staff will immediately take care to keep the undercarriage clear of chemically splashes or somewhat it comes while taxiing on that. Now the next part is snowbanks on the runway. Format is runway space 09 Charlie space snowbank space left 11. You can write 11 left also. So Lima 11 slash right 13 space FM means from space CL means center line full stop. So we have to use abbreviations which are recommended in AIS, Aeronautical Information Service. So we are using runway RWY, that is the abbreviated form. Then we are using left LR for left and right, and from FMCL. So this is some slight change. AIS people know how to fill it, but for all of us, we should also know that how it has to be filled. Then snowbanks on, we have already covered snowbanks runway pe. Now we are covering snowbanks on taxiway. Taxiway Quebec snowbank left 10 / right 08 space from centerline full stop. Then taxiway space tango space snowbank space left 09 space right 07 space FM from space centerline full stop. So this is the format. Now runway snowbank adjacent to the runway penetrating level profile set in the aerodrome snow plan. So if this is the condition, then we have to mention here, this is all in sequence only. So runway space 09 Charlie adjacent snowbanks full stop. That's simple. Runway 09 Lima adjacent snowbanks full stop. Then taxiway conditions we have to mention, this is optional.